Linda Harris is the founder of the Awards and the CEO of Write Limited, our main sponsor. I'd like to invite Linda to come up and say a few words. Linda.
Thank you, Kevin. I didn't really mean to knock Kevin off his stand here, but watching Chris hold his papers there, I thought this was the safest place for me. Chris has already given you a great little bit of background about the awards, and the only thing I want to add to that, something he has already said, is that we were just so thrilled to have this venue here tonight, and I think it's just made a wonderful difference to everything, actually. So that's, we've been very, very thrilled, and a big thank you to the Minister for that. Well, I know all of you are here tonight to find out who has won the 11 beautiful trophies over there, and the 2 shiny brain strain awards which are hiding behind here. So I'm just going to be very brief. Several years ago, a client asked us to redraft the explanatory notes that went with a complex form. There was a statutory requirement that the form be filled out every day in this certain industry, and over 1 million of these forms were filled out every year. The trouble was that there was a lot of errors on the form, and so this is why they wanted the explanatory notes to be improved. Well, that seemed like a fairly straightforward job until we looked at the documents, and it wasn't so straightforward at all when we sort of saw what we were faced with. The notes were written in a very bureaucratic style, that was for sure. They were definitely not plain, but that wasn't the biggest problem. The biggest problem was actually the form. The form was really dense. It was filled with tiny little boxes and tiny little labels. And the problem was that over the years, the jobs that were to be recorded on this form had changed. And so the jobs had changed, but the form hadn't changed. So the box for recording job A was now to be used to record a different job, maybe job X. And so it was all very complicated. They didn't do job A anymore, so they didn't, X took its place. And it was like that for many, many boxes. And worse still, there weren't even enough boxes for all the jobs, and so some boxes had to be filled in with 2 different codes, depending on the circumstance. So I hope you're getting the picture here. This was a kind of a nightmare job is what it turned into. So the real reason that the client wanted us to work on the notes was to explain all of the new work that needed to be entered into the boxes with the wrong labels. And we just couldn't believe it. Nobody seemed to have twigged to the fact that if they just changed the labels on the form and reworked it a little, they wouldn't even need most of the explanatory notes, and the error rate would drop overnight. So off we went full of confidence to our client, and we said, well, we can redraft the notes for you, but what you really need is new labels on the form. And we thought they'd be quite pleased with that deduction on our part. But the client just looked at us and said, we cannot change the form. Why can't you change the form? It's too expensive to change. Well, we persisted, but look at all the money you're going to save by changing the form. Look at the strain on the organisation from all the errors, the frustration of all the users, the incorrect and incomplete data that you end up with. And to be honest, we don't mind taking your money to rewrite the explanatory notes, but it's just not going to really make much difference. Well, said the client, we know. So why can't you change it? Well, we've tried. All we could get was enough money for the notes. Basically, the people who've got the budget for this sort of thing just don't care. And there you have it. The people who had the power to make a difference flew in the face of reason and just didn't care. Plain English, on the other hand, is very much about caring. It's about caring about doing things right, caring about your reputation, caring about fulfilling your business purpose, but most of all, it's about caring about people. I know I'm preaching to the converted because you're all here tonight, and the fact that many of you have entered the awards and bought tickets means that you do care. But some of you here tonight have done more than just care. You've actually dared. You've dared to push against established ways of doing things, faulty reasoning, indifference, ignorance, cost-cutting, false economies, other priorities, general busyness. I think you've all heard and seen all of those scenarios, and just a host of other obstacles. You've cared enough to argue, persuade, build a business case, and keep your eye fixed on the compelling benefits of connecting with and showing courtesy and care to the people that your organisation serves. Plain English is a means to an end, and that's all it is. And we always talk about this with our clients. Plain English isn't the end, it's the means to the end, and the end is clarity of communication. Plain English is the intelligent, respectful way to get your information across. Crafting messages well isn't high tech, but the result is high impact. The ability to communicate clearly is probably the single most important goal that any organisation can strive for, and it's worthy of all the energy, commitment and resource necessary to achieve it. Everyone here tonight understands that, but in times of belt tightening, it's tough to convince others. So if you care, if you have a vision of what needs to happen in your organisation to succeed at times when the need for excellence was never more important, press on and dare to care even more. Thank you.